Hey you guys, it's your girl Kelsey, aka the Shy Wonderless. Welcome to or welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you guys can tell by the title of this video, I am about to give my 100% honest review of the Royal Caribbean's Independence of the Seas ship and cruise that I just recently went on. So let's go ahead and jump right into the review. All right, you guys, the first thing I want to start off with, of course, is the check-in for the cruise. Now, like I said in my previous videos, I want you guys to go watch my videos if you have not of the actual cruise. But in those videos, I did mention that I drove to Orlando, or actually not Orlando, I drove to Cape Canaveral, which is right outside of Orlando where the cruises leave the port. And when I got there, I parked my car, and I used a service that I may link it below, but they were pretty amazing. But I'm not talking about them for real in this actual video. This is about the cruise, not the extras. So I got there, I parked my car, I was shuttled over to the actual cruise, the ship, and the terminal. And once I got there, it was pretty much a very smooth process. I would say it was a pretty smooth process. I went in there, it wasn't too crowded. I had a pretty early check-in. My check-in was probably about 11:30, and my time I was picked up and shuttled over to the terminal, it was probably like 11:35. So I went through security, went upstairs. They had like several open lines where you can go in there and check in and all that stuff. The lady, I went up to the lady, she checked my passport, my ID. She took a picture of my passport, took a picture of me, and then she told me to head on over to the area where they were going to be letting us in. At the time, they were not letting us in, so we had a little bit of wait. But let me tell you guys where I messed myself up, because I'm being honest in this review. The actual check-in part with the terminal and everything was pretty much it was smooth sailing. I messed myself up, you guys, a little bit because I'm forgetful and my memory is terrible. So when I went to security, right, which was downstairs before I went upstairs to check in, I actually went through the security part and they had to wind me down, because every time I go through a metal detector, if you know me, you know that I had my hips replaced in 2013, both of them, one in January and one in March of 2013. And so I have metal hips, so anytime I go through a metal detector, it's going to go off. It does not matter what kind, what brand, where, it's going to go off. So they had to wind me down or whatever, and I'm not talking about that part because it had anything to do with this. But after going through the security, you know, I picked my bag up and all that stuff, and I went upstairs and started doing the check-in process. And by the time I got over to the area where they were going to call us in to go on the actual ship is when I realized I had a fanny pack, you guys, with my wallet, my keys, my phone, all that stuff in there. And I realized that I left it downstairs on the security belt when I was getting wanded through. So I had to run back downstairs. And when I got down there, I asked one of the guards, I remember which one I went through because they had several lines to get through so they could have a smooth and quick moving process with so many people going through the security system. So I went over to the one where I knew that I had just went through the security pat down, or well, wanding. They didn't pat me down, but wanding. And I asked one of the guards over there, and luckily he was like, yes, I picked the fanny pack up, let me go get it. So he went over to the room, they had like a back room, and he got it and gave it to me. He was like, is this yours? I said, yes. And I ran back upstairs. Well, not necessarily ran, I walked back upstairs. And by the time I got up there, they were actually calling my group to go and get on the ship. So I would say the process of the check-in was really smooth, outside of me messing myself up because I'm forgetful like that, and I'm clumsy and I'm goofy. But other than that, the check-in process was amazing. All right, you guys, the next thing that I want to rate is the actual room. So when I got on the cruise, the room wasn't going to be ready till about 1:30ish, and by the time I got on and everything and was able to kind of find my way to my actual deck, I used the bathroom and I went over there and I saw that the rooms weren't going to be ready. They actually had the door closed. They had like an area where you can walk in where they would typically have the doors open to get to your cabin, but they had the door closed and there was a sign on there saying, we apologize but for this section of this deck, your room will not be ready until 1:30. So I said, okay. And by that time, it was probably about 12:15. By the time I, like I said, got on the ship, was able to find my deck, use the restroom, and walk around just a little bit on my deck just to make sure I know where exactly my room would be, because they had like on the wall like different numbers, you know, where your room would be. So it was about 12:10, 12:15. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I went to go grab something to eat, and then I came back. Once I was done eating and everything, it was probably like 1:25 or something like that. And I came back down, and the room, the doors were open, so the room was ready. I went to the room. They had my little CPAS card that has your name, your room number, your dining information on there, I believe, as well, and it's also your key. So, and you would also use that because nowadays cruise ships don't accept money, credit card, debit card, gift card, nothing. You have to use your CPAS in order to, you know, you do everything. And it's also the, you know, the door key for your room. So I got that. It was like hanging like on a clip by the door. Took that out, opened the door, and I thought the room was absolutely amazing. Firstly, because I had a room upgrade, and I didn't go through the regular process of upgrade using guest services. What I did is with Royal Caribbean, they have something called Royal Up, and with Royal Up, it's something that you basically, they send you an email and they ask you like, hey, would you like to try to bid on an upgrade for a room? And first, I had never heard about that. I'd done all kind of research. I've seen YouTube videos, all that stuff about Royal Caribbean, and I had never heard about that. So I'm like, what's this? At first I thought it was like a spam or something. I thought that, you know, it was just like, I don't know. It looked funny to me. It looked like a official Royal Caribbean email. So at first I was like, I'm kind of suspicious. So I actually Googled it. I'm like, what's Royal Up? They said Royal Up is their, you know, the upgrade program. So I did that, and I went and I bid on, actually, I think I bid on a promenade interior room where I would have had like a window that was viewing over the promenade area. I also did a bid on an ocean view room, a spacious ocean view room, and also a balcony. And I ended up winning maybe like a day or two, no, maybe 3 days. 3 days before my cruise was getting ready to leave, I received an email and said that I won my bid. So they do charge for that, actually. Like if it's a bidding process. So like say you bid $40 or whatever in order to get an upgrade, and you win that bid, you're gonna pay $40 for that upgrade. So that's how that works. So I ended up getting ocean view room, and when I went in the room, I thought it was a really nice room. I know that with Royal Caribbean's Independence of the Seas is one of their older ships, so yes, the room was dated, but it was very clean. It actually looks pretty nice for a dated room. I think everything was neat and in order. The only real issue that I had with the room was actually if I didn't close the shower door completely, which it was pretty hard to do because it looked like it was closed, but then if you like peek like through the little crack, you can see that it's open a little bit. If you didn't close it all the way, it would actually, when you turn the shower head on, it would leak a little bit like behind the toilet. So one day I had to put like a towel back there. I didn't realize it was leaking, and I went out, looked, I'm like, why does the floor look wet? Because it was wet. I had just taken a shower, and I realized that it was like a little tiny crack back there where the water from the shower was leaking through that crack and onto the floor. So that was really the only issue that I had with the room. I really loved the room. It was spacious. It was just me. So y'all know I went on a solo cruise. It was just me. I had plenty of room, plenty of storage space. I needed all that storage space. I did unpack my suitcase, so I was able to put stuff in the drawers and in the closet, my shoes and all that stuff. I utilized, they had a safe in there. I utilized the safe when I needed to. I think it was a pretty nice room. It didn't smell weird or anything. It was nice. For the air condition, when I needed it, I use it. If I needed some heat, I use it, because sometimes when I get out of the shower and the air is on and like I be freezing. I forget to turn the air down or whatever. I be freezing. I'm like, let me turn the heat up a little bit. So it's an amazing room for the price that I paid, especially with the Royal Up program, which I'll talk about that later as well. But I really like the room. I enjoyed the room. All right, you guys, the next thing I want to talk about is the service slash staff, or the service and the staff. I think that the service was amazing, and that was because of the staff. I did not have not one issue with not one staff member. I wasn't looking to have an issue with any staff members. I just had a nice experience with all of the staff and the service. Firstly, I want to talk about the woman that was completing the room service in my room. Once I got into that room, like I was talking about earlier, it was shortly after I got in, I received a knock on my door, and I was like, who could this be? I don't know about anybody on this ship. So, or at least I ended up actually speaking with a few people, but I didn't give anybody my room number. So I'm like, who could this be? So I opened the door, and it was the person that completes the room service, and her name was Juliana. She was a very sweet woman. She introduced herself. She told me what she was going to be doing or whatever, you know, told me what to do, how it typically operates with the room. You know, it's like any hotel room. If you ever stayed in a hotel room, it's pretty much the same. You know, if you don't want to be disturbed, you leave a sign out the door. It's actually like a magnet, because, you know, all of the walls and doors are metal. Well, I know the one on the independence of the seas were. So it was more like a magnet where I could put it outside the door to say either, hey, I'm in here slumbering, or I'm in here, you don't need to come in here. Or it would say, of course, you can, you know, I'm out having fun. It said something like that. I'm out having fun, please clean my room. So she showed me that, and then she talked about the safe and all that stuff, and she pretty much gave me a briefing. And then, like I said, she introduced herself, and then she let me know that anything that I need. And I told her, actually, because I bought a bottle of wine with me, I asked for a bucket of ice, and also I asked for a wine cork in order to open the wine. And I thought that she was very speedy with that. And as a matter of fact, she was just, as soon as I said it, she was like, I got you. And she rushed off to go get what I wanted and what I asked for, and she came back. But she was very, very amazing. She was very, very thorough. Every time she cleaned the room, she was very, very thorough, and just all around very, very nice woman, very pleasant woman, very, very pleasant woman. Any of the crew that I experienced, like on the actual ship outside the room service, was, you know, if I went to ask a question at the bar, or just a waiter, or I think everybody was amazing. Very much so. All the waiters that I had were amazing, especially the one at the main dining. He was very attentive, and he answered all of my questions, anything I ever needed. They had actually two waiters. They had a waiter and an assistant waiter, and the assistant waiter was the one who was normally, you know, refilling my water bottle, asking me if I need anything. And then the other waiter was the one, he took my order and he would bring me the food and stuff like that. Both of them were absolutely amazing. They were such sweethearts. They were very, very nice. It was another restaurant I went to, Playmakers, which was very, very, very interesting. It's an interesting place, but I'll talk about that later. But the waiter that I had there, he was very, very, very nice. A very, very nice gentleman. Anytime I ever like went to a place to buy something, or, you know, just walk around a store, all the people that worked there, they were very, very nice, very amazing. I went to guest services, and I didn't necessarily have to, but I like to ask questions and find stuff out. When I'm curious about something, I'm gonna ask a question. So I went to guest services, and as you guys know, if you watch my other videos about the actual cruise, you would know that there was a hurricane actually the week of, or like during the week before the cruise. The cruise, we were supposed to leave on Friday, but there was a Hurricane Ian, and it did some real damage to Florida. So they had to push our cruise back. We were supposed to leave on Friday. We ended up leaving on that Saturday, and it also cut our cruise short, unfortunately. So we were advised, you know, during the time that they were telling us about, you know, they were giving us weather updates. They were saying that, you know, because they had to do this, and that, and they had to cut the cruise short and all that stuff, they were giving us credit and also refund. So it was going to be like a credit, like if whatever they were going to credit back, they did that. And if we didn't use those credits, they were going to refund it. And it really depended on how your bank usually processes a refund or whatever. That's how long it would take for you to get your refund back, which for me, it didn't take that long. But we did get a bunch of credits. I can't remember exactly how much it was, but they credited like 2 days of the, I should say 2 nights. 2 nights of the cruise. They credited 1 day worth of internet, because I did purchase internet. They credited 1 day worth of internet for me. They credited both of my excursions that I had. I can't think of what else they credited, but it was a lot. I got a lot of money back. And not only did I use some of that credit, I just still got a lot of refund back. And it didn't take my bank long at all to release that money back to me. So I had to go to guest services. And I wanted to find out like how exactly that worked, because I didn't know. I went to for guest services the first day, because on the app it shows you pretty much like a tally of how much money you're spending, because like I was saying earlier, you're not allowed to use cards, cash, none of that stuff on a cruise. You have to use your C-Pass, and when you use your C-Pass, you're kind of using like a credit card. And what you can do is you would typically, if it was a typical cruise, you would go to guest services and you would let them know that, hey, can you please, use this credit card in order to take money off of my account whenever I use the C-Pass to buy something, or you can tell them that you want to use cash. And you can wait to the end of the cruise to pay that. So I wanted to go find out how that was going to work, since we were receiving credit back. And so once I got up there, the lady showed me on the app where I can see how much credit I received back, and if I were to purchase something or get a drink or whatever, buy food on it or whatever, it would tally down how much of the credit I was using. I can kind of keep an eye on it. So I thought that guest services was amazing. They had it was a long line, and they had several people up there working, but they also had 2 ladies that had little iPads in their hand, and they were also trying to get through the line and help. It almost felt like going through like a Chick-fil-A drive-through line, where they had the people standing outside trying to get the order so it can go through the line quickly. That's how I felt. That's literally how I felt. But they were amazing. I think the service and the staff were amazing. All right, you guys, the next thing that I want to talk about is the food. Now, anybody who knows that's ever been on a cruise, they will feed you and feed you and feed you. They got all kind of food, anything for any of your liking. Whether you want some ice cream and a little nice and pizza, burger, some very expensive food, some steak, whatever, they got it. So for me, I would say the food was pretty tasty for what it was. I'll say that, because if you follow my channel, I am plant-based. So wherever I go, it's going to be a little bit hard in order for me to be satisfied, not with the food, but just to the point that they're able to cater to my dietary needs, if you get what I'm saying. So when it comes to Royal Caribbean, I think they did okay when it comes to the food. Of course, with the buffet, there's an abundance of options, so I didn't really do bad there, but the food was pretty good. The options were pretty good. Were they like over the top amazing? No, but they were good. They were actually good. I was actually satisfied with the meals, the food choices that I had when I went to the buffet, the Windjammer, which is called the Windjammer, on the cruise. I went to the Windjammer 3 times. I went 3 times. I went the day that I got on the actual ship, when I was waiting for my room to be ready. I went there. Then I went there again for breakfast that next day, and again for breakfast the day after that, on the last day. So I think the food was pretty good. I was able to still be able to have different choices. Some of the things that I ate were the same, but I was still able to find some different choices for me. And what I liked about the Windjammer is actually when you go up to the actual food bar, and they have like little signs at the top and over the food, and the sign will actually say if the item has like some type of meat in it. Like, I guess if they were trying to really cater to people that have allergies, as well as, you know, people that are, you know, gluten-free and all that stuff, which I think also is well plant-based, because they had like veggie burgers and stuff. And an example of that is like they had a it was a gravy, which was, I think it was supposed to go with the biscuits, because I know it was a breakfast item. So it was like when you have biscuit and gravy, and they said that the gravy, actually it was mashed potatoes as well, but they said that the gravy, it was made with sausage. It didn't have actual sausage in it, but I mean, it had it in it, but it was like chopped up really fine. So the sign on top of the food actually said it was made with meat, and I appreciated that, because I didn't want to get the gravy and it had meat in it. So I appreciated that they had that option and had that notification for us plant-based people, and also gluten-free, and people that got really bad allergies and all that stuff, food allergies and all that stuff. So I thought that was great. The other restaurant that I went to Playmakers Bar and Grill. I'm not gonna say I really kind of stumbled upon it, because it's kind of weirdly situated. Like I was kind of touring the cruise ship a little bit so I can get familiar with it. But it was, I had went downstairs. I was in a promenade. I went down the steps that they had to the casino. I walked through the casino. When you walk through the casino, that's where you end up in Playmakers, because you can also continue and you'll walk straight through. And there was like this area where it was kind of like a loungy type area, but it was open. They were taking pictures over there. It had a really pretty glass staircase, and it also had like a live band back there. So with Playmakers, it was like a typical bar and grill to me. They did have a Impossible Burger that I had, and they had these amazing steak fries, really thick fries. They were really good, and I had some barbecue sauce. But that food was really good. Again, it tastes like a typical Impossible Burger with fries, but it was still really good, and I was very, very satisfied with that food after I was done. And the only other place that I ate was the main dining hall, and I did have the option to eat at the main dining hall as often as I wanted to. I did the My Time, but I was looking at the menu. Again, I have, you know, dietary restrictions, so I wanted to pay close attention. I didn't want to go to the main dining hall and didn't have any plant-based options. So the first day, of course, I didn't go. I don't even know if they had it available. I went to the Windjammer, like I said, and I ended up going to Playmakers. But the second day, I had an option to go to the main dining to eat there. But I had actually looked at the menu beforehand, because they had the menu on the app, and I didn't like what they were going to be having. I knew I wasn't going to like it, so I decided not to go. So on the night that I did go, I knew that they were going to have some amazing vegan options, which they did, and it was pretty darn good. Again, like I talked about the service earlier, the crew members, they were amazing. He made sure that, you know, that I was able to get the food that I wanted versus having to order something that was already on the regular menu and try to modify it. So they had a vegan menu, which was actually listed again on the app. And I had the tortilla soup, which was really, really good. It was really amazing. I may make that myself one day, y'all. That was really good. And I had like I can't remember the exact name of it. I will probably put it somewhere here, but it was a peach, like some kind of a peach salad. And I thought it was going to be more like a traditional salad with peaches in it, but it was like peaches with salad in it, if you get what I'm saying. It was completely opposite. It was more peach than anything, but it was really good. It was really surprisingly good. And when I looked at the name of it, I had never heard of it before. I actually Googled it, had to figure out what it was, but I knew I was going to get it because it's like it's like a 3 or 4 course meal. So you get you get your appetizers. They got the appetizer soup, and then I ended up getting the pasta, the spaghetti or bolognese, or however you say that, which was really, really, really tasty to me. That was amazingly tasty. I really liked that. It was so good. And then the thing that I didn't like was the dessert. I mean, I liked it, but it wasn't like, ooh, wow, like the other menu items were. It was like kind of like a cheesecake tart type of thing, and I thought it was gonna be more of an actual vegan cheesecake, but it was like a cheesecake tart thing. It was tasty, but it wasn't like, ooh, this is amazing, you know, this is ooh. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. But altogether, the meal was amazing. I was so stuffed. I was so stuffed. I was like, I'm gonna eat all this. Listen, give me all the courses. I'm gonna eat it. They were so good. It was so good. All right, you guys, the next thing I'm going to talk about is I'm going to kind of mush them together. It'll be the activities and the entertainment on the ship. And the reason being is because when it comes to the activities, I didn't really participate in many of the actual activities. And when I say activities, I mean like the spa. They had a fitness center. I didn't go to that. I didn't get any spa services. What else did they have? They had the slides. I was going to, but I didn't end up getting on any slides. They had a flow rider. I wasn't going to do that because the way my sickle cell is set up in my body, I can't be falling off of nothing, okay? So I wasn't about to do that. They had rock climbing again. I'm not about to be falling off of anything. They had again, I call it putt-putt, but they had like miniature golf. I watched people play that, but I didn't end up doing that. And they also had like sports activities. I think one day they had play like pool. I wouldn't say beach volleyball, pool volleyball, like in the water. But again, listen, I need surgery on my shoulders because my joints are tore up from the floor up. So I couldn't be trying to hit. I used to play volleyball, y'all. I used to be a straight volleyball player, but I ain't doing all that. I'm not doing all that. I'm happy to watch, but I'm not doing all that. So I didn't really participate in the activity, so I cannot give you a review. But next time, hopefully I will at least do some of the things, but I didn't really find much time to, because I had to kind of squeeze all the stuff that I wanted to do, and I couldn't really squeeze any of the activities because the cruise was cut short. So I'm gonna kind of put a little bit of the blame on that. But other than that, like I said, next time I'm gonna do some of the activities. I'm gonna participate in those, or at least I'm gonna try to, because I love me some slides, y'all. I will not shy away from a water park. I love going down water slides. I didn't have time to. Like literally the day that I was going to do it, it was when we had we were parked at a port. We were at the port in the Bahamas, and I had already come back from walking around outside in the heat and just doing stuff in the heat on the island for 3 hours, and I was tired. When I got back to the room, I was tired. I needed some water, and I needed a shower. I needed some food, and I needed a nap. And that's exactly what I did. Instead of going out and overexerting myself, I did that instead. So like I said, when I have more time next time, I am going to definitely get into the activities. Now, when it comes to the entertainment, they got it. They got it. I loved everything that I participated in when it came to the entertainment. Now, I would say I would kind of put they had an escape room. I would kind of put that in with an activity, but at the same time entertainment, because it was something to really get into and put my mind into. So the escape room that they had was amazing. We figured it out at the very, very, very last minute. I swear we had like a couple seconds left. And it had like 4 puzzles, and it was probably like 15 of us in there getting this stuff together, trying to figure out how to get the heck out of the escape room. But it was amazing. It was really fun. It was very intriguing. I liked the theme of it. I liked the look, the design, everything. It was fun. So that was that. But they had, you know, an abundance of shows and other things like that to do. I did end up going to a game show. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I will absolutely put it like right here somewhere or something like that. But it was kind of like a battle of the sexes type thing. So that was pretty fun. I didn't stay too long, but I was able to see them play a couple games. What else? The entertainment. They had a silent party. I didn't get a chance to stay too long, but it looked like it was pretty interesting. I was able to hear a couple of the songs that they played, you know, watch people dance around. You would think it would be a little silly, people dancing around to their own you know, their own headsets. You don't hear any music in the actual room unless you put a headset on. So it's kind of weird looking at people dancing and stuff. It seems like they're dancing to nothing, but it was very interesting. Next time, hopefully I'll be able to stay at that longer. The show that I went to, that they put on, was amazing. They did Grease, and anybody that knows me knows that I love me some Grease, y'all. They did the show based off the actual Broadway play versus the movie, and so there were some subtle differences between between the show and the actual movie. I have never actually seen Grease on Broadway, which I would love to one day. I would absolutely go and see that. But it was amazing. The actors in there, that they're singing, they're dancing, the entire everything was amazing. It was amazing. And I think I probably sang to every song, because I know pretty much all the lyrics to all the songs in Grease, pretty much. It might be a song or two that I don't know the entire lyric, but for the most part, you can't sit there with me watching Grease and I won't sing. You can't get me to not do it. I'm going to do it. It was amazing. It was amazing. It seemed like all the shows and stuff like that, and entertainment and all that stuff that they had was amazing. It really did make up for the fact that, of course, that our cruise was cut short, unfortunately. So there was still a lot of stuff to do on the ship that kept us entertained. All right, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is something I'm going to talk about quickly, because I actually mentioned it earlier. I did have the internet package. I didn't actually get, when it comes to packaging, you know, with cruise lines, they have, you know, beverage package, internet package, all that stuff. There's a lot of different packages you can get to kind of extend the amazingness of your cruise experience. I did not get a beverage package. Didn't think I needed. I didn't need it. I knew, because I knew I wasn't going to. I don't drink like that, and like I said before, I end up bringing my own wine bottles, so I knew I wasn't going to be buying any additional drinks like that. I did end up getting a wine at the main dining room, which was pretty tasty. I used my credit. I just thought it would be fitting to have some wine with the amazing meal that I had, which was, you know, it was good. So I did that. But other than that, I didn't buy any drinks from the bar using my credit. I didn't get any drinks, not even any soda. I don't even drink soda. So, and I know with Royal Caribbean, they do allow for you to bring, I believe, a 12-pack of water. With the, you know, the 16-ounce bottles of water. You can bring a 12-pack. I didn't end up doing that. I actually had like my own little personal water bottle. So I would just fill up the water. I would go to the Windjammer and fill up the water there and make sure I had water at all times with me, whether I was out on the port or I was just walking around the cruise or in my room. I would just go and just refill and refill. Didn't mind it, because I like walking around the ship anyway. I wasn't any room in the room like that. So I'm like, let me get out and give me some water. Well, give me some water, kind of hang out, top deck, whatever. So I didn't need a beverage package. Back to what I was saying, the internet. I did get an internet package. I got the most basic one. I didn't get the one with the streaming and all that, because I knew I wasn't going to need it. I wasn't about to be watching no YouTube channels. When I was in the room and I was chillaxing in the bed, I was getting ready to go to sleep. I was not about to be, you know, doing all that type of stuff I would do at home. I was on vacation. It was time to do something different. So I got the basic internet. And the reason why I actually got that, because I don't think you necessarily need internet. It's up to you. It's up to who you with. But I ended up getting it because I was cruising alone. And I knew that with the Wi-Fi, I can turn on my Wi-Fi calling on my phone. Not sure if your phone has it, but my phone does. And I could call my parents and I could speak with them. I could let them know, hey, we just docked in the Bahamas. We're in the Bahamas. Or we doing this and we doing that. That's why I got the internet. That's the only reason why I got the internet. And again, I actually got some of my money back from that internet package because of what happened with the hurricane and all that stuff. But I thought it was pretty decent. At points, on certain parts of the cruise ship, the internet was a little slow. You know, sometimes I would actually end up checking Facebook or Instagram. I didn't do any posting, but I did absolutely no posting. I didn't post anything about the cruise until after I came back home, actually, after I got all the way back home. But the internet, it was still pretty decent. It was still pretty decent. And again, it served its purpose. I used it again just to do some calling. And it did what it did. There was only one time, actually, and I think I may have been in the promenade. I think I was in the prom and I was like in the middle of the ship and my call dropped. I was talking to my mom and the call dropped, but that was the only time. Other than that, the calling was perfect. The internet, it worked well. It wasn't like extremely slow or anything. I was happy with my purchase. All right, you guys, we have reached the last thing that I want to talk about. I was going to do like a bonus and talk about the excursions, but my excursions were canceled, unfortunately. I was sad about it, but at the same time I wasn't. I got my money back, so there was no issue with that. Actually, what I end up doing is use some of the money that I got back, and I went and I did my own excursion when we went to the Bahamas. Because what happened was, because we had to leave a day early, and you know, I guess they were, I don't know exactly how they got everything figured out, but we didn't get to the Bahamas when we were going to originally. We were going to get there like 7 o'clock in the morning, and what happened was we actually ended up getting there at about, I say about 8:15 in the morning, and they end up docking about 8:45, 9ish is when they open the door to let people start getting off so we can go out and hang out in the Bahamas. So the excursion that I had for the Bahamas, it was actually called a land and sea excursion. And what it was at first, I was gonna take a shuttle. Actually, the shuttle was gonna leave, well, I was supposed to get down there to the shuttle at 8 o'clock. So that's that. First of all, we would have got there too late. So I would have missed the shuttle. So I would have had to get down to the shuttle around 8 o'clock, and the excursion would have technically started at 9. And what it was, they would have shuttled us over to the beach, to the dock, the beach and the dock, or the private dock, I would say. And we would have taken like a ferry boat, kind of like a ferry boat slash, I can't think of the name of the actual boat, but it would have been a boat ride. We would have took a boat ride around the island. They would have showed us the celebrity homes and all that good fun stuff. And then it would have went from sea to land. Like I said, it was a land and sea tour. And then we would have got an air conditioned shuttle, and they would have took us to all the major, you know, important and happening and all that fun stuff on the actual island. So what I did was, when I got there, I ended up walking, and I wind up going to over to Margaritaville Beach Resort, and I bought their day pass. So I used that credit that I got back from that excursion to do the day pass, and I thought it was absolutely amazing. What I thought I was going to do was go to Atlantis and then do a day pass there, but I suddenly remember, first of all, Atlantis was, I had to take like probably like a taxi or something over there. Would have had to do that, had to pay for that. And then Atlantis day pass is about $190. It ain't cheap. So I'm like, no, I'm not about to do that. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna go do the next best thing, which I went to Margaritaville. And they had almost the same thing. You know, with Atlantis, it's almost a full-blown water park. But with Margaritaville, you had access to their pool. It had a beautiful pool, a lazy river, I should call it. They had slides of their own. They had a bar area. They had food. They had lockers. They had access to a private beach area. It was amazing. I had an amazing time. I had a really good time. And the other excursion that I would have had was actual water park pass to the Perfect Day at Coco Key or Coco Cay. I think the locals call it Coco Key, but you know, that's Royal Caribbean's private island, but we didn't go there because the cruise was cut short. So they had to make a choice. They had to send some ships. Our cruise wasn't the only one that was cut short. There were cruise ships that couldn't even dock because our cruise ship was there. Several other cruise ships were there. They had to wait for us to leave in order for them to go out. So it was a crazy mess, but they figured it out. They got it figured out. So they had to send some cruises to Coco Key. They had to send some cruises to the Bahamas. They had to pick and choose. We went to the Bahamas. So that's how that worked out. But I think I had a good time though, even without my excursions that I paid for. And I still got my refund. That's fine. I still had a good time. But the last thing that I wanted to talk about, like I was saying, is the checkout process. The checkout process was, even though the check-in process was extremely smooth and easy, the checkout process to me was even easier, because they gave you two options. Either you leave your suitcase and all that stuff outside of your room door the night before. I think it was supposed to be like before 10 o'clock p.m. and they would pick up your suitcase, and they would, you know, they would take it to meet you the next morning wherever you would, you know, go back to the terminal. Or you had the option to self-assist or self-checkout yourself. And that's the option that I chose. I just chose to keep my suitcase, which is just a carry-on. And I had my backpack, my carry-on backpack, and, you know, my fanny pack, and all my stuff that was all in there. And I chose to check out myself. So all I had to do, they gave me like a room, like a self-assist group. I was group number 4, and they told us to turn the TV on to channel 15, and it would show like a list, like a rolling list of when our checkout time was. And mine was supposed to, it started off at 7:30. But I know when I woke up that morning, it was pretty early. First of all, you know, I got ready, showered, all that stuff. We were still going. We were still at sea. We hadn't made it to the dock yet, and that was probably like 6:30ish or something like that. It was when we were still moving, because I got up, I did all that, I went to go eat, and while I was sitting there eating, we were actually still moving. So I'm like, it ain't no way we're gonna be able to dock and get off at 7:30. So they end up, when I went back to my room after I was done eating, they changed it to 7:45, but I guess since we did end up squeezing and getting in to the dock on time, they pushed it back again to 7:30. So I was there, I gathered up my stuff, I went to where they told us to go. We had to go in through the main dining on deck 4, and they motioned us and, you know, guided us outside to deck 4, and that's where we actually came onto the ship on deck 4, and we left back out on deck 4. So the checkout was amazing, or disembarkation. It was really, really smooth, really, really easy. All right, you guys, that is the end of my video. What I would rate the cruise, I would give it an 8 out of 10. And that's mainly because, and it's not even their fault, because the cruise was cut short. I was sad about it, but I was like, listen, I'm still gonna go. I ain't gonna waste my money. I ain't gonna waste my time off. I'm gonna go have me a good time, and I absolutely did. I absolutely did. I had an amazing time, short cruise and all. So 8 out of 10. I give it an 8 out of 10. Would I cruise Royal Caribbean again? Heck yeah, I surely would. I like their cruise line. I like the fact that, you know, they go out of their way to make sure everybody, you know, has a good time. Their crew is amazing. The service is amazing. I really like their ships. There's a lot of stuff to do on it. Would I go on the Independence of the Seas again? Only if it's going to a specific place that I know that I want to go to, that only it goes to. Otherwise, I want to try different cruise ships. I want to try different cruise lines. But I would still absolutely go on Royal Caribbean again. I guess it just really depends. Like, I noticed that when you do research for trying to find the perfect cruise, you can't just focus on one cruise line. Especially if you want to find a good deal, you have to look at all the cruise lines, because you never know. Even though they try to say that Royal Caribbean is more on the higher price side, you may find something that it might be cheaper than a Carnival cruise or Norwegian or Celebrity or whatever. You never know. You never know. You just want to look around. So that's what I'm gonna do. The next cruise I go on, it could be a Royal Caribbean, it could be I don't know. We shall see. Could be Disney. I don't know. We shall see. But either way it goes, I know I want to go on another cruise, and I know I want to go really soon. But I want to thank you guys so very much for watching my video. I hope that you like, comment, subscribe, and share. And when you subscribe, please hit the notification bell, so when I post new videos, you guys will be notified. I hope God continues to bless all of y'all. I love y'all. Deuces.